Coming up on the county line, New Wilmington Borough places more limits on parking in town. We'll tell you where.
And meet one Westminster student keeping the sound of music heard throughout the town.
And Dave Gregg brings you the latest news in Titantown sports. We're live.
We're local.
The county line starts now. Westminster students have another roadblock to deal with when finding a place to park near campus. Good evening and welcome to the County Line. I'm Alex Hines.
And I'm Jordan Emma Early. Recent changes in borough parking are making it a real adventure to find a spot to park on campus. The County Line's Pamela Marlowe takes a closer look at the parking issue.
Parking on a small stretch of Maple Street in New Wilmington is now limited as the new parking ordinance is in effect. Borough Council voted to approve an amendment to the parking ordinance, which prohibits parking weekdays from 3 a.m. until 4 p.m. Safety is the key reason being cited for the amendment.
When they're plowing snow and stuff with the big trucks, there's not enough room in between for a car and a snowplow to go down through. And there's been near misses and stuff with the kids pulling out from the parking lots and stuff like that. So we just thought it was a good idea to.
I understand pulling out of the bottom lot of Shaw is kind of difficult with the sight line up the street. I don't think they need to eliminate all of the parking. They could eliminate probably 2 or 3 spots and gain enough safety that you can see up the road instead of eliminating the entire thing.
Because Maple Street is a borough street, students and staff often occupy the 10 spots available due to the convenience and an important fact in any college town: it's free.
Living in a fraternity house, it's almost impossible for us to get a decent parking pass on campus. The only ones that we're allowed to get are the black passes, so it's almost unnecessary for us to even get them and to waste the $30 on them, as everybody else does on campus who gets to park right beside their buildings.
Parking down behind the stadium, which is a long walk. I mean, and my wife works at the college. She's not real happy with this, but what are you going to do?
Despite one borough council member abstaining to vote and a letter from the college asking council to reconsider, drivers not complying with the posted signs will be ticketed. I'm Pamela Marlowe for the County Line.
New Wilmington's not the only town in the area looking into parking. The city of Newcastle is turning to the state attorney general to investigate the city's parking department. According to our partners at the Newcastle News, Police Chief Tom Sansone contacted the Attorney General's office for outside help investigating the possibility of missing money. The city's first application for help was denied, but the city is also requesting help from state police.
Joshua Stewart is now cleared of any involvement in the death of Newcastle teen Erica Million. The Lawrence County District Attorney's Office declined to charge Stewart with involuntary manslaughter after hearing key testimony from a Newcastle police detective and narcotics officer. The new evidence holds Million's mother attempt to file civil damages against Stewart and his mother. 16-year-old Million died in March 2007 after an oxycodone overdose.
Titan Radio News brings you the latest local news throughout the week, but you can also catch up anytime at titanradio.net. Jeremiah Patterson is here with an update on this week's news.
Good evening, I'm Jeremiah Patterson in the Titan Radio Newsroom. Let's take a look at the stories we've been covering on titanradio.net this week. The Laurel School District bus driver, blamed for dragging a student while his backpack was stuck in the door last week, is currently on leave without pay. 44-year-old Scott Kaufman could face charges pending an investigation. Kaufman was also subject to a drug and alcohol test. The numbers are in from this past deer season, and a decline is reported in the number of deer killed throughout the state. Hunters in Pennsylvania killed just over 300,000 deer during the 2007-2008 season. That's an 11% drop from the previous year. The Pennsylvania Game Commission says hunters killed 109,000 antlered deer, down 19% from 2006. Weather could be to blame for the decline, as opening day in Lawrence and Mercer counties was marked by heavy rain. And finally, a former pastor of a Mercer County church is ordered to pay $18,000 of stolen money back to his church. 51-year-old Sydney Walker of White Oak took the money in March 2006 from a bank account belonging to the First Baptist Church of Farrell. Walker said he took the money due to personal finance problems. For more local news updates along with a 24-hour live web stream of commercial-free music, log on to TitanRadio.net. I'm Jeremiah Patterson for your Titan Radio web update.
With Pennsylvania's primary less than 1 month away, the upcoming election is already setting state records. On Monday, the Pennsylvania Democratic Party reached a benchmark with over 4 million people registered, making this the highest membership of any party in the state's history. Mercer and Lawrence County election offices both report a decline in the Republican and Independent affiliations.
Coming up next on the county line, bells are ringing on the Westminster campus. We'll introduce you to the student making the music.
And Dave Gregg has the latest updates on Titan sports. Stay tuned, more County Line is on the way.
A spare tire. Please report to the press box to retrieve your appendage. They must have lost this parking further from the stadium and walking in.
Remember, if there's ever an emergency, we meet here at the bottom of the driveway.
And I'll get the emergency disaster kit out of the kitchen.
Once we're all together, then we'll decide what to do.
But what about Fido?
What about Fido? The Lawrence County Humane Society reminds you to include your pets in your disaster planning. Make sure that your pets have identification tags that include your phone number. To find out more about how to protect your pets in a disaster, contact the Lawrence County Humane Society.
Come on! This way!
Who is that guy?
I don't know! Hurry up! He's right behind us!
I know!
Come on, get up!
407 years ago.
Think history is a little scary? Then log on to loc.gov and see how much fun it can be. The Library of Congress at loc.gov.
What do you got there, Dave? Looks like someone's thunder thighs. They must have lost them playing in the snow with their kids. Let's get back to work.
Wilmington area high school drama students are relaxing more now that their production of Damn Yankees is over. But the making of the show was not a walk in the park. Reporter Jeremiah Patterson takes us out to the ballgame in the high school auditorium to find out why this musical sparked some controversy.
It was lights, camera, but almost no action for Wilmington area high school drama students in their production of the baseball musical Damn Yankees. Controversy over the title itself nearly had director Amy Watson calling it out, or at least playing it safe.
There's not a script for a musical that doesn't include swearing or profanity. That's just what it is. So we automatically take it out. Well, for Damn Yankees, you couldn't very well do that.
Watson says she faced some special problems in New Wilmington doing a show entitled Damn Yankees. She went to the Planetarium to seek their support, who in turn thought the musical would be a home run.
Even Joe, who is our probably the most senior minister in New Wilmington, even Joe said Damn Yankees would be fine. So we had to laugh. What other community would you go to the Planetarium and ask?
But the greater community also gave its support, evident by the parents who brought their kids to the performance. The musical featured several students, like seniors Molly Whiting and Bjorn Wasfit, who were happy the show didn't strike out. They say they enjoyed the experience.
I love it. It's a lot of fun. It's really different this year, but I like it a lot.
I don't know, it's a great experience. Our director is awesome, and I've been doing it since 6th grade.
But not everyone was rooting fair. Watson says she did receive one lighthearted curveball.
I had a student who said to me, when we announced what it was, said, "You wrote a detention for me for saying damn in class, and you're doing a show that has Damn Yankees."
Reporting in New Wilmington, I'm Jeremiah Patterson for the County Line.
Anyone coming to Westminster College hears the Carillon bells in the Old Main Bell Tower ring at the top of every hour. If they're lucky, they'll also hear some music as well. The County Line's Amy Gerber introduces us to the student behind the music.
A locked door in Old Main leads to a spiraling staircase revealing one of the wonders at Westminster College. I was lucky enough to find one of the few students on campus who has the key and give me a sneak peek.
The bells that chime at Westminster College can be heard for miles around. Right above my head is where they're located, and in this very room, Jason Perry, a senior at Westminster College, plays them every so often so people can enjoy.
Well, I ran into financial trouble, and so I was looking for scholarships and funding and things like that. And I was talking with Jim Moore, and he said that they actually offer a scholarship to play the Carillon.
Yes, a scholarship to play the bells that we hear ding and dong from the top of Old Main. Although the Carillon is an ingrained part of campus now, years ago, students weren't so lucky.
Westminster didn't always have a Carillon. It wasn't until the last time that Old Main burnt down that we received any bells.
A bell memorializes the Duff family in 1935 when we received our first 12 bells. And it wasn't until the late 1970s when an alum donated 23 more bells, and we were officially considered a Carillon. Because last year the class of 1956 donated a bell, we only need 2 more to complete the set. As a senior, Jason will not be able to see the set complete in his time here. The next in line to receive the scholarship, Amber Kunder, might have a small chance. For those future students interested in playing or receiving the scholarship, Jason hopes they will be able to have the set complete. Until then, Jason will just lock up and wait for another day to play. For the County Line, I'm Amy Gerber.
Students at Westminster College shoot for the stars in their academic careers, but one Westminster professor looks at the stars every day. The County Line's Laurel Sprague tells us about this starstruck professor.
This one machine represents many years of Samuel Leitner's time and commitment as an astronomy professor here at Westminster College. 22 years ago, Leitner helped install this very planetarium and will be leaving it behind when he retires in May. Leitner originally started as a physics teacher in 1970. 10 years later, though, he started looking towards the stars.
Actually, astronomy has not always been a passion of mine. I mean, like I say, it sort of grew. It's one of the beauties of teaching at a liberal arts college. You sometimes get a chance to explore more than you do, say, at a major research university where you get locked into your more narrow area.
Leitner still plans on teaching after his retirement in May. Although he may be leaving his beloved planetarium behind, it's the students he will miss most of all here at Westminster College.
But what I'll miss is, I think the wonderful thing about Westminster has been the people. Has been the camaraderie among the faculty, and the kind of students that Westminster gets. I mean, it's been really a joy in terms of working with the various classes over the years. I've really enjoyed the interactions I've been able to have. I can hope that I can find another network, you know, when I move and leave. But certainly that's going to be one of the things that I will miss.
Leitner's time in the astronomy classroom here in Westminster College is slowly coming to an end, but his passion for the constellation and the stars above will truly go on. I'm Laurel Sprague, reporting for the County Line.
Have you ever been in the planetarium before, Alex?
Actually, I have, and I actually had a class there, the astronomy class that Dr. Leitner taught, actually, and it's really an interesting thing seeing the star ball rise up like Laurel had in the package. It's really interesting to have be able to watch pretty much 3 times a week. So, right. Well, if you're looking for something exciting to do tonight that doesn't involve stars, Theta Chi's annual date auction is going on as we speak. The auction benefits the Lance Armstrong Foundation. Local stores helped with the event to make the Chinese auction possible with their donations. Amy Gerber sat down with Theta Chi's philanthropy chair to find out more about the event.
Hi, I'm Amy Gerber, and I'm here with Anthony Gomez today. He's the philanthropy chair of Theta Chi, and I snagged him away from his little special event today, date auction. It's going on right now. So Gomez, why don't you talk to us a little bit about what's going on tonight?
Well, we have 30 of the hottest people at Westminster College for you to bid on for your dating pleasure tonight. Each representing Greek organizations, Alpha Phi Omega, and independents all around campus.
All right, so we have a well-rounded group of people to vote on, right?
Oh, yes, we do. We have Alpha Sigma Phi, Zeta, Sigma Kappa, J.D. Ikers representing the independent males. Okay. Just to give you a little rundown of what we have.
All right, how did you choose the people that the audience is going to be voting on?
Well,
bidding on.
I was in charge of date auction last year, and I asked some of the biggest sellers, so to speak, to return for date auction, and I just asked some other people to be involved as well, and I asked brothers and sisters from fraternities to give me ideas of who they would like to put up on stage for date auction.
Okay. Now, the audience, is that going to consist of just Westminster students? Like, how is the bidding going to work?
Well, the bidding for the date auction itself is only Westminster students. We encouraged New Wilmington residents to attend this because we also have a Chinese auction, a silent auction, and a 50-50 raffle and a Goodwill donation.
Okay. What is the money that you're raising tonight going to? I know last year it was towards Jordan Jack, a very, very good cause. You can explain that a little bit, but give us a little insight on what's going on for this year.
This year it will be going to the Lance Armstrong Foundation. And I did this because originally I wanted the money for date auction to go to Dr. Grover Pittman and Dr. Russell Martin, both of which have been afflicted with cancer over the past last year. And I thought to myself, and I'm like, those are two men who really deserve it because of what they're going through. However, to split the money up between them wouldn't really be fair to either of them. So I'm putting it to the greater good into the Lance Armstrong Foundation to benefit overall cancer research and hopefully help others as well.
Okay. Now, was the whole brotherhood involved in picking the Lance Armstrong Foundation? I know last year there was a brother who biked across country. Was it a little incentive there, or how'd that work?
That gave me the idea for the Lance Armstrong Foundation, but really when coming down to think of it, Lance Armstrong Foundation was the first thing that popped into my head. Plus, I really didn't want to steal any thunder from Alpha Sigs with Relay for Life and the American Cancer Society.
Okay, and as far as that, I think everyone should just come out and have a good time, buy some dates, and there's more County Line on the way.
Hi everybody, this is Tim McGraw for RAD, recording artists, actors, and athletes against drunk driving. You know, I spend a lot of time on the road and I see some funny things out there, but one thing that's not so funny is someone who's about to drive drunk. So take the keys and be a friend, because friends don't let friends drive drunk.
So nice out here.
Yeah, I used to come out here when I was a kid. Nothing.
No, I definitely heard something.
Who's that?
Let's get out of here! What are you doing? Shut the door!
Okay. He does? I'm sorry! Come on, baby!
Think history is a little scary? Then log on to loc.gov and see how much fun it can be. The Library of Congress at loc.gov.
Properly inflating my tires burns less fuel and saves me money on gas. Yeah, I'm saving Mother Nature from pollution, but more importantly, she saved me $11. Ow!
Environmental defense. Get green.
By keeping my car regularly tuned, I save money on gas and repairs. That also means cleaner air. You know, feels good to help save the cash, planet.
Environmental defense. Get green. For more tips, go to getgreen.com.
Good evening, Titan fans. I'm David Gregg, back with you for another edition of Titan Town Sports. Well, spring break came to an end this week as we saw the return of all teams that got to travel south. The baseball team returned home from Fort Pierce, Florida, after a 10-game schedule with a record of 6-4, after the boys defeated Carleton 13-12 last Friday. So for this spring, John Izzo is the leading slugger on the team. Izzo finished the trip batting .541 with 20 hits, including 3 long balls. Next up for the boys will be a doubleheader at home Saturday as Waynesburg comes to town. The Lady Titans softball team has also enjoyed the warm weather that Florida had to offer. They made the trip back to Western PA sporting a 7-2 record as they edged out William Patterson 2-0 Thursday evening. Leading the offensive charge for the ladies this spring is Jen Emery, averaging .462, going 12 for 26 with 7 ribbies. The Lady Titans' next game is set for Saturday at 1, where they will hit the road for a game against Waynesburg. Now, the baseball team isn't just being played at college level. The Wilmington Greyhounds are also preparing to get their season underway as they will travel to Elwood City later on today. Both men's and women's tennis teams didn't go far south, but they did get to go to Hilton Head Island in South Carolina, so the weather had to be better than here. Both teams lost all 3 of their matches over break, which brings the men's record to 0-5 on the season, and the women's combined fall and spring season record to 10-9. The boys will be in action Sunday as they travel to North Beaver Tennis Center, where they will take on Frostburg State. And both men's and women's track teams also hit the road going to South Carolina, Myrtle Beach. Both teams competed in the Shamrock Invitational March 21st through the 22nd. And a little bit of history was made for the ladies as Megan Harding placed 9th in the 200-meter dash with a time of 25.58 seconds, which breaks a 6-year-old record of 26.17 seconds previously held by Ashley Pyle. Harding also tied Pyle's time in the 100-meter dash with a time of 12.68 seconds, which was good enough for 19th place. Top finishers for the boys included Jeremiah Patterson, placing 6th in the 10,000-meter run with his time of 36 minutes and 14 seconds. And freshman Doug Orlowski placed 10th in the javelin at 51.64 meters. And the Titans of the track will return to action at the Western Pennsylvania Championships in Pittsburgh this Saturday. And now we'll take a break from our spring trip updates to give out the award for SAC Athlete of the Week. This week, the honor goes to Megan Harding, who broke one record and tied another at the Shamrock Invitational in Myrtle Beach. Now, not every sport was fortunate enough to travel to warmer weather, though both golf teams were getting ready for their upcoming season. Both the men's and women's team have 6 returning lettermen from the 2007 season. The men will try and pick up where they left off last year, finishing in the upper half of the team standings in 5 invitationals they participated in, including a second-place finish as they hosted the 8-team Titan Invitational. The team's next match is scheduled for Saturday, as the men will be at the Waynesburg Invitational, while the women will compete in the Mount Union Invitational. And now let's go to extra innings. We begin tonight with the Pens, who are in action tonight playing host to the Islanders. A win for the Penguins tonight would put them in sole possession of first place in the entire Eastern Conference with commanding 97 points. Now we'll move on to baseball as the Pirates and the Yankees were doing battle earlier today in the Grapefruit League. The Pirates would come out on top, beating the Yankees 5-2 as Tom Gorzolani picked up his first win of the spring, making his record 1-1. The Tribe was also in action today as they met up with Tampa Bay. Andy Gonzalez hit his 5th home run of the year. It was not good enough, however, as the Tribe would fall to the D-Rays 9-7. And finally, the Steelers have begun to rebuild their offensive line after the departure of Alan Faneca. The Steelers signed Justin Hartwig to a 2-year contract worth nearly $4 million. This signing means that last year's starting center, Sean Mahan, could move back to guard in place of Faneca, who signed with the New York Jets. Hartwig was drafted by Tennessee in the 2002 season and played 15 games for Carolina last year. And that will do it for Titantown Sports. Stay tuned, more County Line is on the way.
That guy? Look.
Okay, girls at 3 o'clock.
What is he looking at?
They're looking at us. What do you think?
Oh, that's so obvious. Captain Obvious has scored again.
Oh, you want to say something? Oh, he's really going to down.
Hi. Hi.
Hey, guys.
Hi.
Honey, would you get me some ice cream?
Ice cream?
Please.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Some things you just can't do without. It happens every night, all across America.
No one wants to be in debt, but the truth is that most of us are. For 51 years, Consumer Credit Counseling has been in the business of helping people find their way out of debt. The professionals at Consumer Credit Counseling want to help you move on with your life. With their local office in Sharon, it's easy to get started. Visit their website, cccservices.com. That's CCCservices.com. Consumer Credit Counseling, financial help in any crisis. You can control your debt. Consumer Credit Counseling will show you how.
Pennsylvania is famous for its covered bridges, and here in Lawrence County there are two, the McConnell's Covered Bridge and the Banks Covered Bridge. This week I looked deeper into the history of the bridges and found out more about what it means to have such historical structures in the county. Miles and miles of land surround a vast majority of Lawrence County, but there are two historical structures that have a unique story behind them: the McConnell's Mill Covered Bridge and the Banks Covered Bridge. The Historical Society of Lawrence County has articles and facts about the history of the covered bridges. The McConnell's Mill Covered Bridge was built in 1874, and the Banks Covered Bridge was built soon after in 1889. Robert Presner, Executive Director of the Lawrence County Historical Society, talks about why the bridges are covered.
It's a wonderful design. The gabled roofs are to cover the most vulnerable parts of the bridge that are susceptible to decay. And so they gave the bridges long life. And so these 19th century bridges are still around today because of the design. So you see, even something like a bridge has a certain architecture and engineering to it.
People from all over the country travel to Pennsylvania for its covered bridges. Lawrence County is very lucky to have two of the historical landmarks. Lawrence County Commissioner Steve Craig says the covered bridges also help the neighbors identify where they live in town.
I think it gives the neighbors a sense of place. I mean, you refer to it, I live, down the street from the covered bridge. It also gives us kind of a place in the history of Pennsylvania and of the United States in terms of these bridges being a link to our past.
They're really a symbol of Americana.
For more information on the covered bridges in the area, contact the Lawrence County Historical Society at 724-658-4022.
The driver of the bus that dragged a Laurel Elementary student is on leave without pay this week. The employment status of 44-year-old Scott Kaufman with the district is pending the findings of an investigation into the incident. The child's book bag became stuck in the folding doors of the bus when Kaufman drove to the next bus stop, unaware that the boy was being dragged along. State police and the school district are awaiting the results of a drug and alcohol test before seriously beginning their investigation.
A Lawrence County Housing Authority employee faces 4 charges stemming from 2 incidents. Vernon Lee McKinney faces charges of aggravated assault, simple assault, and harassment from an incident that took place in October. He also is charged with theft of services from an incident that reportedly happened on December 6th. McKinney is a part-time painter for the agency. He will be arraigned on May 6th. Join us next week when our reporters go out on the road and discover what's happening.
And David Gregg will bring you all the latest news from Titantown Sports. Have a good night.
Good night.
As well as water and food bowls, a few favorite toys, grooming equipment, and any medicine he may need. Feed your dog at least 3 hours before departing and take him for a walk just before you leave. A pet carrier or crate is the safest way for your dog to travel. Be sure to plan frequent stops in pet-friendly places to provide fresh water and to let your dog exercise.
Pet Travel Tips presented by Purina.
Beneful? Beneful? You're definitely thinking Beneful. Uh-huh. With wholesome grains, real beef, even carrots and peas. You love the taste. I love the carbohydrates for energy and protein for muscles. You only think you're getting spoiled. Spoiled? And it's good for you too.
Real wholesome ingredients, 4 different ways. Healthful, flavorful, Beneful.
Pennsylvania's Democratic primary is next Tuesday, and with time running out, both Senators Hillary Clinton and Barack Obama are on the campaign trail today in the Keystone State. Clinton used to have a double-digit lead, but recent polling shows that this race has tightened considerably. The latest CNN poll of polls indicates she has a 5-point lead over Obama. The chairman of the DNC, the Democratic National Committee, is getting a little impatient with the process. Howard Dean says the Democratic superdelegates need to decide who they're going to vote for now.
I need them to say who they're for starting now. They really do need to do that. We cannot give up 2 or 3 months of active campaigning and healing time. We've got to know who our nominee is, and there's no reason not to know after the last primary on June 3rd.
Dean told CNN's Wolf Blitzer more than 300 superdelegates have yet to make up their minds. Disturbing reports from the war zone in Iraq. The Associated Press says Iraqi troops abandoned their positions when they came under attack in the Sadr City neighborhood of Baghdad. 2 people were killed in overnight clashes. This has happened before. Iraqi officials acknowledged that during the fighting last month in Basra against Shiite militias, 1,300 Iraqi soldiers and police deserted or refused to fight. Also today, a new audio tape has emerged, one that's said to be from al-Qaeda's second in command. He declares the U.S. will lose whether it stays in Iraq or withdraws. The message, supposedly from Ayman al-Zawahiri, also says President Bush just wants to pass on the problem to his successor. This recording makes no mention of the congressional briefing last week, though, from the top U.S. commander in Iraq, General David Petraeus. CNN has not yet confirmed the tape's authenticity. The Olympic torch arrived today in Thailand under very heavy security. The relay there is set for tomorrow. Police are warning anyone who tries to disrupt the torch's symbolic relay will be arrested, and international activists could be deported. A growing number of people are going to extremes to save on gas. They're called hypermolers. An Ohio man says his hybrid car gets 99 miles per gallon. It's customized with aerodynamic hubcaps, an internal antenna to cut down on drag, and a computer to monitor engine performance.
I'd like to.
Actually, the people that have the regular cars can turn out better percentage results than the hybrids do.
Hypermilers also save on gas by timing traffic lights and avoiding left turns because you burn gas waiting to turn against traffic. A grandmother's out of jail after an alleged scuffle over airport security. 74-year-old Elena Reichman set off the metal detector at Palm Beach Airport on Wednesday. Officials say she refused another or secondary security screening and began screaming, and she allegedly shoved a deputy. The grandmother said she was bruised during the arrest.
This is what the deputy did to you?
Yeah, she was horrible.
She's accused of battery on a law enforcement officer. Not in her neighborhood, a Michigan woman fights back against crime.
I just grabbed him up and went like this.
Okay.
That's what I did.
Wow. And what did he do at that point?
He was basically just shaking.
I don't blame him.
How she nabbed not one, but 2 accused crooks, and why she says one of them began to cry.
Not long ago, this man had limited mobility. Last month, this woman wasn't even able to get around inside of her own home. They chose mobility, and they chose the scooter store. If you or a loved one live with limited mobility, call the scooter store. No other company will work harder to make you mobile or do more to guarantee your complete satisfaction.
If we pre-qualify you for a new power chair or scooter and your claim isn't approved, the scooter store will give you your power chair or scooter free. That's our guarantee.
They were so helpful and nice. They filed all the paperwork, and Medicare and my insurance covered the cost.
We can work directly with Medicare or with your insurance company. We can even help with financing. If there's a way, we'll find it.
So don't wait any longer. Call the Scooter Store today.
Call 1-800-478-8726 for your free, no-obligation information from the Scooter Store. That's 1-800-478-8726.
Michigan has quite an automotive history, but for Toyota, it holds an even bigger future. Toyota Technical Center has broken ground on a 700-acre expansion.
We believe that we will be here for a long, long time.
Thanks to the help of the Michigan Economic Development Corporation, high-tech companies plant roots here because the competitive advantage ensures success. From a tech-savvy workforce to its world-renowned research universities, Michigan can give your global manufacturing company the upper hand.
I'd like to wake up to that. Golf ball-sized hail pelting parts of the Dallas-Fort Worth area. In some spots, it was accompanied by 60-mile-per-hour wind gusts. Also, at least one report of a tornado. The brunt of the storm hit west of Dallas-Fort Worth, where hail damaged some police cruisers, as you can see here, and left other cars with deep dents and broken windows. No reports, though, of any injuries. Researchers have found a new and surprising change in the environment. It turns out the system that makes storms in the U.S., the jet stream, is slowly moving northward and getting weaker. That could mean less rain in the south and more storms in the north. The researchers suspect global warming, but they've yet to prove anything. They say if you want to know what the weather will be like or will look like if you lived here in a few decades, just look south. It'll be like that. Here is an update to a story we talked about yesterday. The bidding for that Red Sox jersey, the one that was buried and excavated from Yankee Stadium, the new one, well, it's now $31,000. The eBay auction began yesterday. It's a week-long auction, had opening bid of $500. Bidding is set to end next week, and the proceeds all go to a children's cancer charity, the Jimmy Fund. The David Ortiz jersey was put in wet concrete by a construction worker and Red Sox fan who was trying to put a curse on the rival Yankees. Even if you're not a baseball fan, you have to take a moment for this. The Colorado Rockies and San Diego Padres played the longest game in the majors in nearly 15 years last night. This thing lasted 22 innings. That translates into 6 hours and 16 minutes. 15 pitchers took the mound, but the catchers for each team may have had the worst of it because each caught the whole game. The Rockies finally won this thing 2-1, and if you're wondering, the longest game was May 9th, 1984, between the Brewers and the White Sox. That went on for 25 innings, or 8 hours and 6 minutes. Americans struggling with rising gas and food prices are facing more bad news on the job front. Carrie Lee, what's the latest?
Well, Chuck, we know the economy has shed jobs every month so far this year, but now the New York Times reports some businesses are cutting workers' hours. So this is a more indirect sign of the weak jobs market. Self-employed people, caterers, consultants, music teachers are seeing a drop in demand, and nearly 5 million people are settling for part-time work because they can't find a full-time job. The unofficial employment rate, meanwhile, 5.1%, hasn't risen very much, but lower wages when you factor in inflation and fewer working hours have really become a big cause for concern. Last month, working Americans logged fewer hours versus 6 months prior, and the last time we saw a drop like that, February 2001, we were heading into a recession. Now, on this note, it might not surprise you to hear that Americans' view of the economy continues to sour. 9 of 10 Americans now give the economy a negative rating. A majority say it's in poor shape. That's the most to say so in over 15 years. This is the quickest drop in sentiment also that we've seen in over 20 years. Turning to stocks, though, we're seeing far from a drop. Very nice gains. The industrials up 258 points. Positive profit news from Caterpillar and Citigroup leading the Dow 30. Citi up over 7%, Caterpillar up over 8%, and also Google coming in with double-digit gains in profits and sales for the recent quarter. Google shares up 21%. Chuck, that translates to a gain of $96 a share today.
That's amazing. They beat estimates, right?
They beat estimates. Yeah, they did really well. There was some concern about the slowdown, but no such thing.
All right, Carrie, thanks. Sad news for singer Bruce Springsteen and the E Street Band and all of his fans as keyboardist Danny Federici has died of cancer. He and Springsteen played together for 40 years. He had battled it against melanoma for 3 years. You can hear some great stuff from Federici on Hungry Heart and The Rising. He was 58.
Danny Federici!
O Cedar